I'm not healed. Not once, but twice. Now here's where things get complicated. Because while she's publicly trying to stay strong, sources claim behind the scenes, it hasn't been that simple. Late nights, old messages, and what some are calling quiet attempts to reconnect with Todd Tucker. But was it really just co-parenting or something more? Because viewers immediately picked up on it, the pauses, the emotion, the contradiction. I have no regrets, but everything else said the opposite. And now, with rumors that Todd has already moved on, people are starting to ask one question. Did she realize what she lost, only after it was already too late? Because if that's true, then this isn't just a breakup story anymore. This is something much deeper. And it's only just beginning.
So, ma'am, I mean, if y'all ain't heard, I got divorced recently after...
It looks like the deeper you go into the story, the less it starts to make sense, and the more it starts to feel like something wasn't fully said on camera. Because right after that emotional moment, everything shifts. Suddenly, the questions get sharper, the tone gets heavier, and the conversation stops being casual and starts becoming personal. Insiders say this is where the real cracks began to show. Not in what was said, but in how it was said. Because when the topic of healing came up, especially with hints of infidelity in the background, it didn't land like a normal question. It landed like a trigger.
How have you been able to heal, from the divorce? Because I know in the show you do, reveal some infidelity, but how were you able to heal?
And just like that, the room changed again. There was a pause, a hesitation, almost like she was deciding how much truth she was willing to let out. And then it happened.
I don't think I'm healed.
Okay.
I don't.
I mean, it's still kind of, it's like less than a year, huh? Since it happened.
Oh, yeah. It's been less than a year. It's, that was July.
I'm not healed. Not once, but repeated. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Because people aren't just focusing on the words anymore, they're focusing on everything around them. The tone, the timing, the emotion behind it. And according to some viewers, that didn't sound like someone who's moved on. That sounded like someone still in it, deep in it. Sources are now suggesting that behind the scenes, things may not be as clean as they appear. Because while publicly it's all about moving forward, privately, there may have been moments of looking back. Late nights, unanswered thoughts, and what some are calling emotional pullbacks. Not direct, not obvious, but subtle. The kind that shows up in small decisions. Like staying connected longer than expected, keeping things friendly, leaving certain doors slightly open. And this is where the narrative starts to split. On one side, you have the version where she's strong, independent, rebuilding. But on the other, there's a growing belief that maybe she wasn't fully ready to let go. And that's where Todd Tucker comes back into the conversation. Because if the connection was truly over, why does it still feel present? Why do the interactions still feel active? And more importantly, why are people starting to question whether those friendly moments were really just about co-parenting? Or something more? Because the timeline isn't helping either. Less than a year since everything happened. 15 years of history. And emotions that clearly haven't settled. Which raises a bigger question. Was this really closure? Or just distance? Because when someone says they're not healed, that usually means one thing. The story isn't over yet. And if that's the case, then what we're watching right now might not be the aftermath. It might be the middle of something, still unfolding. It looks like the more she tries to explain it, the more something feels off. Because right after admitting she's not healed, the narrative doesn't move toward closure, it shifts into control. Control of emotions, control of perception, control of how much the world is allowed to see. And insiders say, that's where things get even more revealing. Because instead of opening up, she starts pulling back.
You already see me as I'm one of those people, I try not to talk about, I guess like I said to you earlier, I don't like to talk about stuff because I don't like to be emotional. I don't like to be sad. I like to live into the past.
Suddenly, it's no longer about what happened. It's about they're okay being alone. And that's a completely different energy. Because if everything was truly settled, there wouldn't be this much emphasis on trying. Trying to move on, trying to enjoy life, trying to stay positive. That word alone is raising questions. And this is where Kandi Burruss becomes the center of a much deeper conversation. Because what we're watching now isn't just someone rebuilding. It's someone recalibrating after something that didn't fully close. And according to some reports, that unfinished feeling might be tied directly to Todd Tucker. Because even now, there's no clear emotional cutoff. No hard separation in tone. No definitive I'm done energy. Instead, everything feels open-ended, flexible, unresolved. And that's exactly why people are starting to question the real dynamic behind the scenes. Because if this was truly about moving forward, why does it still sound like she's negotiating with the past? Why does it still feel like there's something she hasn't fully let go of? And more importantly, why does every statement about independence still somehow circle back to what used to be? Because insiders are now hinting at something deeper, that this might not be a clean break. That emotionally, the connection may still exist in ways that aren't being openly acknowledged. Not through direct statements, but through tone, hesitation, and carefully chosen words. And that's where things start to get complicated. Because when someone is both holding on and trying to move on at the same time, it creates a tension that doesn't resolve easily. It lingers. It shows up in small ways. And eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. Which raises another question. Is this really a story about healing? Or is it a story about someone slowly realizing they're not as over it as they thought? Because if that's true, then what we're seeing right now isn't progress. It's conflict. And it's only getting harder to hide. It looks like this is the moment where everything starts to contradict itself, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because after all the emotion, all the hesitation, all the "I'm not healed" energy, suddenly the narrative shifts again. And this time, it doesn't align.
In all fairness, like, I don't have any regrets. I don't have no regrets about my marriage. I feel like we had a good marriage. It was great while it was great.
No regrets. That's the statement. Clean. Controlled. Final. But insiders say, this is exactly where the confusion begins. Because nothing leading up to this moment felt like someone without regret. Not the pauses, not the emotion, not the visible struggle to hold it together. So now the question isn't what she said. It's whether it matches what she feels. And according to viewers, it doesn't. Because almost immediately, the tone shifts again, not away from the past, but strangely closer to it.
We co-parent well. Whatever is gonna make the kids say, like, they wanna, oh, why can't we all go on a trip together? Okay, we wanna all do a co-parenting, and you want both of us on a trip? We gonna figure out how to do this co-parenting thing on the trip. Now, I ain't never think I would have said, like, back in...
Now suddenly, it's about staying connected, keeping things friendly, even sharing space, spending time, maintaining that bond. And this is where everything escalates. Because if there are truly no regrets, why does the connection still look so active? Why does the energy still feel present? Sources are now suggesting that what we're seeing isn't closure, it's continuation. Not in an obvious way, not in a confirmed way, but in subtle, quiet, emotionally loaded ways. And that brings Todd Tucker right back into the center of the story. Because the dynamic doesn't look like two people who are fully done. It looks like two people trying to redefine something that hasn't completely ended. And for Kandi Burruss, that creates a very specific kind of tension. One where you're saying you've moved on, but still operating like part of you hasn't. And viewers are picking up on it. More than ever. Because now the contradictions are stacking. No regrets, but visible emotion, independence, but ongoing connection, moving forward, but still looking back. And according to some reactions, this isn't strength. It's conflict. The kind that doesn't show up all at once, but slowly builds until it's impossible to ignore. And then comes the most uncomfortable realization of all. What if this wasn't supposed to end like this? What if somewhere in the process, something shifted too late? Because insiders are now hinting at a possibility that's changing how people see this entire situation. That emotionally, the door may have never fully closed. But timing did. And if that's true, then this isn't just a story about divorce. It's a story about misalignment. One person processing slower than the outcome allowed. One person possibly moving forward, while the other was still catching up. And that's where everything lands. Not in clarity, not in resolution, but in a space that feels unfinished. Because if the feelings are still there, and the connection never fully disappeared, then the real question isn't what happened. It's this. Did she try to hold on after it was already too late? Or worse, did she only realize what she had once it was already gone? And now, everything comes down to this. Because after all the statements, all the emotions, all the contradictions, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. This story never really felt finished. It looks like what we're seeing isn't closure, it's aftermath still in motion. Because when someone says they've moved on, but still sounds emotionally connected, when they claim there are no regrets, but can't hide the weight behind their words, people start asking questions. And right now, those questions are getting louder. Insiders suggest this wasn't just a clean break. Some believe it may have been a situation where the timing didn't match the feelings. Where one side was ready to move forward, and the other was still trying to process what was already lost. And if that's true, then what we've been watching isn't just healing. It's realization. Slow, quiet, and possibly too late. Because in situations like this, there's always that one moment. The moment where everything finally makes sense, but by then, nothing can be changed. And that's the part no one talks about. So now the real question isn't just what happened between Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker. It's this. Was there ever a chance to fix it that simply came at the wrong time? Or was the ending always inevitable, And this is just what it looks like when reality finally sets in. Because if the connection never fully disappeared, then maybe the story isn't completely over. Or maybe this is exactly how it ends. And the only thing left now is how the truth eventually comes out.